3 weeks ago, I spent 2.5 million coins buying nearly 2,500 silver players, and the silver tournament drops today. Now, I haven't sold everything yet. In fact, I've still got loads selling. So today we're finding out, do I make an absolute fortune or do I just lose everything from the risky investment? Now, this was a crazy risky investment, boys, because it was 3 weeks ahead of time. We didn't even know if we were getting a second silver tournament. It was a complete gamble, I'll be honest, and going 2.5 million coins into a complete gamble is, well, you know, it's a complete gamble. That's why most people don't really invest like this. And to be honest, I normally advise that you shouldn't invest like this. It's normally a big waste of time and a big waste of coins, but we went for it, boys. And the silver tournament drops today. We've seen some crazy price rises. We've even seen some price drops. And during this time while I've been invested, we have just seen the market tumble and tumble and tumble. So it wasn't actually a bad play not looking at gold and instead going for these silvers. Now, this, of course, does mean that I have not been able to trade promos and trade icons on this account whatsoever. We have just been working on the Trade to Glory account. So for this investment to be worth it, we need to make a really decent amount of coins. Otherwise, we could have just been trading like normal. So can we make a good investment return on the 2.5 million? Or was this just a complete waste of time? A waste of 3 weeks invested. And then at the end of the video as well, boys, what I will do is I'll tell you exactly what you can do to still profit from this silver tournament and exactly the game plan I'm going to be working towards this week when the silver tournament is out today on Sunday and into the rest of the week. How we can profit from silvers, possibly every single day of the week, and what happened last time. So we'll cover that at the end as well. Now, boys, this is the silver spreadsheet that we use to invest. I made this myself. You'll have seen this in the free Discord below if you were in there at the time. We just posted this entire list of silvers, and it was basically from the first tournament, every single silver in the entire game that had any value whatsoever. Some of these cards are really expensive that you'll see, like Van Ewijk. Blackman's really expensive. Elia Meek's in there. Some really expensive ones. And then we've got some ones that are lower down that are way cheaper, like Isidore, Dane Scarlett, Milambo. This is the Premier League league as well. And there were some ones that were cheap, some ones that were expensive. But I put together the entire list of cards that went for 5,000 to 10,000 coins. And I'll show you the exact prices that I managed to pick these cards up for 3 weeks ago. Some were some amazing prices, like crazy considering how expensive they were in the tournament. And some of them were okay and have obviously gone down since we invested, which, you know, that happens, right? You can't win everything. But this is the exact spreadsheet I use, boys. No lies, no hidden anything, okay? Now, let's jump into the prices we did pay because I think it's interesting to see. You can see I'm selling some of these silvers already here. If we take a look at this Musa, for example, we picked him up for 2,900 coins and we are starting to sell him already for above 5,000 coins. We got a Konya at 1.3. He's selling for like 4,000 coins, but a lot of the cheaper ones we didn't do too well on, right? This Buchanan we picked up at 350, and he is still selling for like 500, 600 coins. But I guarantee we can find cards like this Chaplin, who has stayed at discard for about 3 weeks. So we could have just waited 3 weeks, invested in him for even cheaper than we did. We picked up some of these 3 weeks ago for like 600 coins, and they have gone down. So not every card has done well. The Joe Bellingham's for 2.9 and 2.6. They're selling for like 4.5 and 5 plus. And as I'm sure you can already see, we really did diversify our investments, right? We got a Lecomte for 400, Lingard for 750, and I believe he's gone down. We'll check his price in just a second. So again, not all of them done great. Another one there for 800 coins, a Roldan for 400, Onyeka for 500, Tremoni for 600. And the better ones, boys, with these more expensive cards, right? Even though we picked up this Collins for 3.2 thousand coins, he does sell for above that now. So the more expensive ones seem to actually play out a lot better. As you can see, here are the Chaplins here, right? And some of them we even picked up for like 600 coins. He's well below that. So not only have we wasted time on some of these cards, we've actually wasted money as well. Boateng was another great one. He's 500 coins, and we can sell him for like 1,000 coins plus. Mosquera has done okay, 1.1k. He's now like 1.3, 1.4k. So again, not much movement on all of the silvers, but some of them have done amazing, right? This Langas, for example, 850 coins. He's been selling for 2k for weeks, so he's been great. So as you can see, boys, some did better than others. Blackman's a personal favourite of mine. We got him for like between 300 and 850 coins. That's one of the more expensive ones. And he already, before the tournament is even out, sells for like 2,500 coins. But as you can see, not all of these prices were amazing, right? Poku at 750 is great. We got all three of them at 750. Some Yedlins, less so. He's 500 coins. He's another one that's barely moved. So as you can see, boys, these investments are so risky because EA have cooked the silver supply recently with the amount of packs they brought out. They brought out the prime silver player packs that were tradable. They were once a week. They helped cook the market. So again, we might not even make that many coins. We'll have to wait and see. So with Lingard there, we picked up for 750 coins. And as you can see, he's already 750 coins. So you might think, well, we've not lost any coins, but you've got to think about it like this, right? We've been holding these cards for 3 weeks, right? So for every card that's not gone up in price, we're essentially losing 3 weeks worth of invested time, which on this game, 3 weeks is ages. We could have invested in so many different things. So the higher end silvers are definitely pushing us up. And it's the reason I've not fully sold yet, right? These cheaper silvers, like the Lingards, like the Buchanans, like the Chaplins, that are still already really cheap, right? I'm planning on holding them into the tournament because why? I can't lose any more coins on them, right? This Boateng we picked up at 500 and he sells for about 1,000 coins. But if he's not selling for 1,000 coins, he's so cheap that I might just hold him into the week and see if he can get back to what he was last tournament, which was like more than 2,000 or 3,000 coins, right? In fact, taking a look at this Boateng on FUT GG, if we go to his graph for the year, right, you'll see at last tournament, he spiked right up to above 4,000 coins and then he came right back down. So if he's still sitting at 500, 600, 700 coins and the tournament doesn't drop, and even if he stays today on Sunday due to the panic sell of silvers, if he stays down, I'll happily hold this kind of card into the week as possibly the supply dries up and he might not get to 5,000 coins again, but he could get up to 1,000 or 2,000 coins and I end up making 4 times profit on them cards, right? So the cheaper ones I'm definitely holding into the tournament. If I can't sell them today, that is fine with me. Now, boys, if you are wondering why I picked up the certain silvers that I did, it was simply because I picked the ones that fell the most in price since the last tournament. So Felhor here, we got for 600 coins. And he was like 4,000 or 5,000 coins at the last tournament. Not all the cards dropped that much, right? Even the more expensive ones like Musa, he was nearly extinct at the tournament and he went down to 3,000 coins as soon as it ended. So I think that's such an easy pickup. We could have gone all in on these more expensive cards, but I did not want to put all my eggs in one basket in case some of the cards got cooked and we lost a lot of coins. But that was the reason we picked up the silver cards we did, right? We just picked the ones that fell the most in price since the tournament. Also, because I had 2.5 million coins to invest, I had to choose a lot more of these expensive silvers, just because if I only chose the silvers that were like 350 coins, I would have ended up with like 10,000 cards or something silly, and I couldn't be bothered buying that. So it's why I picked up some of the more expensive ones as well. The cheaper ones possibly had a better return on investment. Like, for example, this Blackman, he was 700 coins. He was as low as 500 coins. If I just went all in on someone like him, he went 6, 7, 7x in profit, something like that, right? Because he's back up now from 500 to like 3,000 coins. But if we did do that, we'd been buying for weeks, so we didn't. So I'm sure you would have seen before, we are already getting sales on these, and I am listing 100 cards at a time, just on lazy sales. I'm trying to get a lot of the more expensive ones sold before the tournament, because they're the ones that could drop in price, right? If this Cognac, for example, gets panic sold a lot of the tournament, he could go from 4,000 to 2,000 coins, we don't know. But the cheap ones, like I said, this Pachetic, who's about 1,000 coins, he just can't fall too much. So I'm starting to sell some of the more expensive ones. Some of the cheaper ones, I'm just starting to lazy sell. This guy does not sell for 1.3 thousand coins, but we got a nice lazy sale there. Dorgu's one of the ones we did the best on. We picked up a ton of Dorgus at like 2,500 coins. And because of some Evos, we got very, very lucky. And he went from 6,500, 7,000 coins. So even on him, we've made like a 3-4x profit just by Evos and other sorts, right? He did go up for the tournament that's coming out today, but he went up for other reasons as well. So you can see we are constantly selling these cards, and I'm constantly relisting, but I am just relisting for lazies, boys. And then every now and then, I'll pull down the price of some cards just to free up some space on the transfer list, right? Because I'm sure you guys will have seen, on the unassigned pile, we have still got a lot of cards. I'll reveal in a minute just how many cards we have still got left to sell, because it's a chunky number. It's still loads, but as you can see, we've got a ton of cards still left to sell. So I'm kind of happy taking some lower sales on some cards just to free up some space in the transfer list. So every now and then, I'm just clearing these sales and freeing up space and then going and listing more cards. And again, I'm listing the more expensive ones first, right? These cheaper ones I don't mind holding. But if we do get any more cards like Collins, I can list them up for what they're selling for and a little bit more just on lazies and try and get them gone just in case they fall today with a tournament. It is all risk, boys. A lot of this is risk, okay? So let's see how we get on. And I'll show you just now how many cards we have still got left to sell. Because like I say, it's a big, big number. Okay, boys, here we are on the web app because it is the only way I can show you the exact number of cards, right? So do know, first of all, 100 cards on the transfer list. We have then got about 150 cards in the club, right? They're just the ones we club stock, so we got more space on the transfer list. And we have still, with the 100 cards on the transfer list, with the 100 cards on the club, got 1,819 cards in the unassigned. It is crazy how many cards I need to sell. Now, a lot of those cards are the ones at 350 and 400 coins, and they might not rise, boys. They might not rise. So don't think we could be getting 15 or 20 million coins from this investment, because they might not rise with the tournament. If EA cut with the requirements and some of the tournament rewards, which are out, by the way, we've got some crazy stuff in there. I think it's very hyped, but it could have been more hyped if they went even over the, more over the top with it. I'll show you the rewards in a second, but it is crazy. But yeah, 1,819 cards left to sell. So even though at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the coin total, it could also be a lot more. It is really up to how these cards sell with the tournament. We don't know at the minute. I'm already on a crazy coin total from the sales, because by the way, we were on 0 coins when we first started selling these silvers. We literally did go all in. So when you see the coin total at the end, with this many cards left to sell, you will see we're on a crazy amount of coins. So just before we jump into the coin total and the last takeaways, I do think it's important to tell you what you should be doing with your silvers if you bought. And if you haven't bought, what can you be doing now to make coins from this, okay? First question I'm guaranteed we will get is there any time left to buy silvers before the tournament, or even if there is panic sell with the tournament? And in my opinion, yes, there is 2 ways you can do this if you are here on the video early. But even if you're not, it's still fine, right? First way, number 1 is go and check some of these cards that are still near discard, right? If you're in the free Discord, in the description of the video, you can go and check that spreadsheet. And any of the cards that are still 350 coins, I think the Skark's really cheap still. Any of the cards that are 350, 400 coins, go and pick them up, because they're basically risk-free. If they don't go up, you don't lose any coins. I would not touch any of the expensive cards, like the Mooses, like the Bellinghams, like the Gomez, or even the Blackmans, right? You're looking at cards that are, absolute maximum, sub 500, sub 600 coins. And yes, I do think you can pick them up. But again, what if you're not early enough to buy before the tournament? Well, I do think there could be a second buy window, and that is for these mid-tier to more expensive cards like Langas, Koulibaly, Brackelman, and then again, the expensive cards that we showed towards the end, right? Like Musa, Bellingham, Gomez. And I think this could be if we get panic sell with the silvers. So, for example, right, this Musa is currently about 5,000 coins. If when the tournament comes out, there are loads of investors panic selling their silvers, panic selling, and you see this card get down to below 3,000, below 2,500 coins, or you can even win some bids, because when we get supply with silvers, bids go crazy. If you can win some at ridiculously cheap prices, I think they're a great buy on Sunday night to hold into the week when that supply clears up and people start buying and completing the silver tournament more and more, right? I would only do this if the cards fall a drastic amount, which they well could, by the way. You could see Bellingham's at like 1,500, 2,000 coins. If the supply is crazy, we will have to see. But if it does go like that, there will be a crazy buying window. Silas is another one, right? You can do the cheaper ones as well. Any card that is currently 1,000 coins before the silver tournament, if they get near discard, oh my God, what an investment that could be, right? Just think about it. If this card goes from 900 coins to about discard after the tournament, it's a risk-free investment. You could make 3 or 4 times your profit if he gets back to that 1,000 coin price tag. It could be insane. So try and be active on the game. But if not, don't worry, because there is still one more play you can make if you are late on Sunday. You're watching this on Monday or Tuesday. There's still one more thing that happened in the last tournament, which made everyone crazy coins, including us in the Discord. So what is this play, right? What can you do? Well, it does depend on the prices when the tournament comes out, so keep an eye on that. But essentially, with any of the silvers that held value, right, like this Cognac, what we seen happen in the last tournament was he's sitting at 4,000 coins, right? And currently recording this, it's in the daytime. People would buy up their teams, their silver teams, to play the tournament in the daytime, and especially at like 2, 3, 4 p.m. as they were getting back from school and work and different things, right? They would then buy their silvers later into the night as well and start playing the tournament. But because the tournament wasn't that many games, these more expensive silvers, they rose in the day, and then overnight, think about it, right? No one was playing the silver tournament over... Oh, that's the wrong Bellingham, isn't it? No one was playing the silver tournament overnight, right? So what happened was these cards like Joe Bellingham, like Musa, like Cognac, as people sold off their silver teams as they finished their games for the day, they then started to fall overnight, right? So these cards fall overnight, and you'd often see a Bellingham fluctuate from like 10,000 coins at his high point. He got all the way down to like 6,000, 7,000 coins at his low point, and you could buy them overnight and then sell them into the next day as people buy their teams back. However, do have a caveat with this, right? What we've seen happen is that, especially for the big cards like Bellingham and the big cards like Musa, the really obvious ones, they never really got higher than they were the previous day, right? So if he was 8,000 coins, 9,000 coins in the daytime, then he never really got to that the next day. He normally got to like 500 or 1,000 coins lower. So you do need big undercuts over the night. But the cards that did really well were the cards that not many people were looking at, like this Koita card, right? If you didn't know, this Koita is just a super meta silver striker, but he's less known than Bellingham and Musa, right? So he's already 3,000 coins because he's one of the best silver strikers in the entire game. However, he wasn't as known as Bellingham. So what happened was people then started buying these cards more and more in the later days because they weren't overinvested. So what I think you could do amazingly this time is look for the silvers that are, again, not overinvested. So Koita is quite obvious now because a lot of people know about him from the first tournament. But cards like BigJead, cards like Buchanan, cards like Scally, cards that are like that mid-tier price range that some people know. Felher could be a great one. He could be a really amazing one, right? Cards that are not too expensive even on the first or second day. If they drop overnight during the tournament and you can pick them up on some crazy, crazy discounted prices, I think they're a great pickup to then sell the next day into the daytime as people buy their silver teams again. Right, boys, the coins time. Leave a like on the video for this because this is probably the most ballsy investment I have ever made. Probably on any FIFA, right? Going 3 weeks ahead of time for a tournament we didn't even know was coming out is crazy. But the current coin total I am on, still with 1,819 silvers left to sell, is 1.5 million coins. So, of course, we invested 2.5 million coins. We've got 1,800 to sell. If we can sell the average one for 1,000 coins and make another 1.8 million, which is a very reasonable target, we could possibly be talking about 3 to 3.5 to 4 million coins when we're done selling. Ideally, we have still got loads of Elliot Meeks, loads of Mooses, right? Loads of these more expensive cards that when we sell, they will sell for 3, 4, 5, 6,000 coins into the tournament. And then if that was the case, we could make 5, 6, or 7 million coins. Comment down below. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think the tournament's going to go? Maybe you're watching this after the tournament's out and these cards have flew in price, or maybe they have tanked. So maybe you've got the last laugh and you're looking at me here just crying watching me. Who knows? I don't know this ahead of time. We will have to see. Maybe if these cards do crash in price, I'll just cry myself to sleep, give up on the account and just do the Trade to Glory account full time. We're nearing 500k on the Trade to Glory, so maybe we'll just jump to that full time. If this fails, we'll have to wait and see, boys. If you do want more free resources like this silver spreadsheet, go and join the free Discord below. We do stuff like this all the time. Of course, this is for the silver tournament, but I'm sure there'll be more tournaments and more things upcoming. So go and join the free Discord down below. And yeah, speaking of the Trade to Glory, I'll put the last episode of the Trade to Glory on screen now for you to watch. We are getting towards 500k, and obviously we're doing the road to 1 million coins, so go and watch that. But boys, like always, until next time, I'll see you all in a bizzle.